7 seconds. That was all it took for the entire restaurant to go silent. Billionaire thought he was embarrassing a waitress in a language he assumed she didn't understand. What he didn't know was that she understood every single word. Her reply would change the power in the room instantly. The restaurant was known for exclusivity. Crystal glasses, white linen, low golden lighting. Kind of place where status spoke louder than conversation. Marcus DeLuca sat at the center table, surrounded by 2 investors. His tailored suit fit perfectly. His watch cost more than most cars in the parking lot. He wasn't just wealthy. He was used to being the most important person in any room. When Alana approached the table, she carried herself with quiet professionalism. Calm posture. Polished uniform. Focused eyes. Good evening, sir. May I start you with sparkling or still water? Marcus glanced at her briefly, then looked at his colleague. Without answering her, he began speaking in fluent Italian. He smirked. He commented on her accent. He questioned whether she understood fine dining. He joked about how establishments lower standards these days. His colleagues chuckled nervously. Alana didn't react. She stood still, hands clasped, expression neutral. Marcus continued, more confident now. He described her as invisible, temporary, replaceable. He assumed she didn't understand. The investors shifted in their seats, slightly uncomfortable, but no one interrupted him. When he finally paused, Alana calmly placed the water glasses down, and then she responded. In perfect Italian, not rushed, not angry, not emotional, fluent, precise, educated. She thanked him for his detailed commentary and gently corrected his grammar in 2 of his sentences. The entire table froze. Marcus's smile vanished. The investors stared at her in disbelief. She continued speaking, her tone steady, explaining that she had studied international business in Milan before returning home to support her family. Mentioned she had written her thesis in Italian. She even referenced a regional dialect Marcus had misused. The silence that followed felt heavy. Power had shifted, and Marcus had no idea that this was only the beginning. Marcus cleared his throat, trying to regain control. That's impressive, he said, forcing a laugh, but something had changed. The confidence that once filled his posture was now cracked. Alana gave a polite nod. Are you ready to order, sir? Her professionalism stung more than anger would have. The investors began looking at her differently now. Not as staff, not as background. As someone capable. Marcus rushed through his order, suddenly aware of every word leaving his mouth. But the night wasn't finished testing him. Halfway through dinner, the restaurant manager approached the table. Not with concern, with excitement. Ms. Bennett, he said warmly to Alana, your father is on the line from Milan. It's urgent, but he sounded proud. Marcus looked up sharply. Father, Milan. Alana excused herself briefly. One of the investors leaned toward Marcus. You didn't know, he whispered. Know what? Marcus muttered. That's Bennett. It's in the Bennett Hospitality Group. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. The Bennett family owned luxury hotels across Europe. They had recently invested in restaurant acquisitions throughout the city, including this one. When Alana returned, she wasn't flustered. She wasn't emotional. She was composed. The manager addressed her respectfully. Your family's expansion proposal was approved this afternoon. Congratulations. Marcus stared at her. She wasn't just a waitress, she was evaluating operations firsthand. Learning the business from the ground up before stepping into leadership, and he had tried to reduce her to a punchline. The investors exchanged glances. One of them leaned back slowly. You're Bennett's daughter? Marcus finally asked. Alana met his eyes. Even prefer to earn respect without the last name. That sentence landed harder than anything else she had said. Marcus had built his empire on dominance, intimidation, on making others feel small so he could feel larger. But now, under the warm golden lights of the restaurant, he felt exposed. For the first time that evening, he wasn't the most powerful person at the table, and everyone knew it. The final shift happened quietly. No shouting, no public scene, just reality settling in. As dessert menus were placed on the table, Marcus pushed his chair back slightly. He wasn't hungry anymore. He looked at Alana differently now. Not with superiority, not with dismissal, with awareness. I owe you an apology, he said, his voice lower than before. The investors watched carefully. Alana paused. She didn't rush to accept it. She didn't reject it either. Apologies are meaningful when behavior changes, she replied calmly. No anger, bitterness, just truth. Marcus nodded slowly. For years, he had walked into rooms assuming wealth equaled wisdom, assuming language equaled leverage, assuming position defined value. Tonight, a woman he underestimated had corrected more than his grammar. She had corrected his perspective. As the dinner concluded, the investors spoke more with Alana than with Marcus, asking about expansion, strategy, vision. She answered confidently, insightfully. Marcus remained quieter than usual. When he finally left the restaurant, the cool night air felt different. 7 seconds of arrogance had led to a lifetime lesson, and inside, Alana adjusted the table settings for the next guests, still working, still grounded. Because real power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to humiliate. It doesn't need to prove. It simply waits for the right moment to speak, and when it does, the room listens.